Hey everyone. So today we're going to look at science, but maybe through a different lens than you're used to. This isn't just about, facts and figures. We're going to explore the idea of science as something deeper, maybe even something sacred. But first, we've got to tackle this big question. You've probably heard this before, right? The idea that science kind of kills the magic, that the more we explain, the less wonder there is in the world. But is that actually true? Does science really kill wonder? Let's dive in and see. Okay, so our journey here really starts with a certain type of scientist, someone who you could say acts like a bridge between two very different worlds, the world of hard data and rigor, and the world of, well, profound mystery. So who is this person? Her name is Catherine Fries, and her whole approach is just fascinating. I mean, she works on the absolute edge of what we know. We're talking dark matter, the unseen parts of the universe. But here's the thing, she doesn't pretend she has all the answers. There's this incredible calm and confidence when she just says, we don't know yet. That's real humility, right? But it's humility that doesn't sacrifice an ounce of scientific rigor. And man, that is a rare combination to find. And this idea really gets to the heart of it. It's not just about collecting names of people like Catherine Fries. It's about recognizing a certain way of thinking, a frequency, if you will. It's about spotting those scientists who are totally comfortable holding both razor-sharp precision and vast, deep mystery in their hands at the exact same time.
You know, this points to a really interesting shift you see in a lot of great scientists. They often start out as what you might call hyper-reductionists, the belief that everything can just be broken down and explained away. But as they get deeper into their work, as they get older, their perspective, it becomes more spacious. And that doesn't mean they get less precise, not at all. They just become more humble, realizing they're facing a universe that's just so much bigger, so much grander than any one theory could ever capture.
All right, so we've talked about the person, the mindset. Now let's get into the process. Because this is the absolute heart of science. It's not about what you believe, it's all about how you test it. And the key concept here is what we could call discipline without arrogance. Think about that for a second. It's this practice of being open to all ideas, no matter how wild they seem. But then, and this is crucial, submitting them to the most rigorous, objective tests you can imagine. And doing it all without your ego getting involved. That's what it's all about. That's what keeps science honest. So when you look at it this way, you start to see that science isn't just some dusty old book of facts. It's more like a living ritual, and it's got three main steps. First, you invite all the ideas in, freely, no judgment yet. Second, you challenge those ideas, fiercely. You try to break them, not because you're mean, but because you're dedicated to finding what's true. And then there's the third step, and honestly, this is the most important one of all. The judge, the jury, and the executioner, it's not a person. It's not some fancy committee or a Nobel Prize winner. It's nature. It's reality itself. If your brilliant, beautiful idea doesn't match what we actually observe in the universe, it's got to go. I don't care how elegant it is, nature always has the final say. And that's why, when science is really at its best, it isn't loud. It's not arrogant. It doesn't need to shout you down. It just quietly and confidently says, test me. Go ahead. Try and prove me wrong. Okay, so this is the moment where it all clicks into place. Remember that question we started with? How does this super rigorous, sometimes even brutal process of testing ideas, how does that possibly connect back to a sense of wonder? Well, the answer might feel a little backwards at first, but it's simple and powerful. Real science doesn't kill wonder. Actually, it does the exact opposite. What science does is it keeps mystery honest. It stops us from just settling for easy, comfortable answers that feel good but aren't actually true. It forces us to confront the real mystery, not some watered-down version we made up to make ourselves feel better. And that right there is its ultimate power. It bows to one thing and one thing only: what is objectively true. Even if that means throwing our most beloved, cherished theories right out the window. And by doing that, it acts like a guardian, protecting true, authentic wonder from all the cheap imitations out there. So, with all that in mind, let's try to reframe this whole thing. Let's stop looking at science as just a tool or a method. What if we start to see it as something more profound? What if we see it as a sacred discipline? Listen to this quote. It's not really poetry about science. In a way, it is the feeling of science. When you understand it on this really deep level, that silence that speaks so loud. The light, too far, but the brightest ever that touches your soul. That's the feeling we're talking about. So here's where we land. We can define science as a sacred discipline. Why? Well, it's humble because it starts by admitting we don't have all the answers. It's rigorous because it absolutely demands proof. And it protects wonder because it's all about the pursuit of a truth that, a lot of the time, speaks in whispers. You have to really, really listen closely to hear it. And I want to leave you with this final thought. The farther out we look, into the universe, into the unknown, the quieter everything gets. The signals become fainter. But when we finally do detect something, when that distant, faint light finally reaches us after all that time, its touch is undeniable. Its impact is profound. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real magic is. Not in having all the answers, but in the sacred, patient act of listening.